So the countdown to 2018 will be on in a few days, as we said before. But before you grab the bubbly and get dolled up to ring in the new year, let's explain the origin of the holiday. Well, I mean, it just feels that the origin is after the 31st, is the new year, and the argument done.
What could it possibly be except that the next day is a new year?
Yeah,
so
well, let me take the first one. Did you know that celebrating the new year is a tradition that dates back to nearly 4,000 years? If you had lived in Mesopotamia and Babylon 4,000 years ago, 2000 BC, you probably would have celebrated the new year in mid-March at the time of the vernal spring equinox.
Okay.
If, however, you were an Egyptian, your new year began with the autumnal equinox and the flooding of the Nile. If you were Greek, the winter solstice began your new year celebrations. So that's the first one.
So mid-March.
Yeah.
That's different.
We have all kinds of stuff that's different from us. I mean, you have, we're talking about New Year's now, but you have Chinese New Year and all kind of stuff. What's the second one?
Did you know that Julius Caesar was the first to set January 1st as the new year?
Benji, they're on television.
Yeah, the people them are watching. They are watching.
Yeah, Benji have nothing to do. I'm the worst man in the world. Yeah, go on.
Did you know that Julius Caesar was the first one to set January 1st as a new year? So he established the Julian calendar, and with the establishment of the Julian calendar, then the first became the new year. So before that it wasn't, which goes back into what you were saying about people used to celebrate it in March and all sorts of stuffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The third one. You finished reading that?
Yeah, it began. He wanted the year to begin in January since it celebrated the beginning of the civil year and the festival of the god of gates. And eventually the god of all beginnings, Janus, after whom January was named.
All right, so did you know that the tradition of setting New Year's resolutions also dates back to the ancient Babylonians?
Tell me the common one.
They said the most common resolution was return used farm equipment. What that mean? Like
give the people them lawnmower.
What do you mean, TV?
Give the people them lawnmower. Use it, like if you borrow it, you give it back. In other words, if you buy somebody lawnmower, carry it back.
So you only get back when you
yeah.
So what if you buy it in February, you keep it for the whole year?
Oh gosh.
Or the risky people would give you back.
Oh wow.
What's the next one?
The next one says, did you know that not all cultures and religions celebrate New Year's Day on the 1st? But you started giving that away by saying, you know, you have Chinese New Year and all that stuff. So the Baha'i New Year, known as Nowruz or New Day, occurs on the vernal equinox, just like how they said in 4000 BC. It begins on the first day of the month, Muharram, that's December 18, of the Islamic calendar known as Muharram.
Yep.
It is generally observed with quiet reflection and prayers. There's Rosh Hashanah, the 19th of September, New Year's Day on the Jewish calendar, begins a 10-day period known as the High Holy Days, a time of penitence and prayer that ends with Yom Kippur. You know where I learned that?
Where?
High school. Religious studies was mandatory at Immaculate. And so we learned all of these things.
So it was at St. George's College, but it's a Catholic institution,
right.
And I never learned on
They never teach you those things. We did, and it wasn't only just Christian stuff that we did, you know, we learned Rastafarianism, Muslim,
I didn't do Yom Kippur.
Islam,
They say in Japan, folks, every February 3 or 4, based on the lunar calendar, Setsubon is celebrated. Although it's not a national holiday, Setsubon, which is sectional, seasonal division, has marked the last day of winter since the 13th century and is one day prior to the start of spring, which signifies a new year with the return of the warming sun, symbolic rebirth, rejuvenation of spirit and body, and preparing for the planting season. So the 15-day Chinese New Year, February 14, is celebrated on the second new moon after the winter solstice.
Why that sound so complicated?
Which occurs between January 20 and February 20.
So what you're saying is that it's not given?
With
like
the Lantern Festival. Day? Well, if you understand what I just said a while ago, I am happy because I don't. So I am very happy if you read it up properly.
Okay. Next one.
Let's do this.
A little bit. No, sir. You're still over there. Go away.
It says the New Year's kiss has been around since Middle Ages.
Historians reckon that the New Year's kiss is derived from either German and English folklore. It was tradition in both. Both customs contended this. The first person you encounter in a new year will set that year's tone. So if the person you encounter likes you enough to make out with you, then things are looking pretty good. Or maybe you're just looking pretty good. So you must aim to make sure that at midnight, the somebody that you're looking into them face is the somebody that you really want to spend the rest of the year with.
For whatever reason, supposing say, for whatever reason, when I turn around, Wait a minute.
Omi, what are you going to do for them?
No, just suppose.
Run! Omi say I'm going to run in for you.
Like when I'm working New Year's, and I might not be close to my significant other because I'm on air at that time.
Then all you do is make
sure
the
the first person I turn on, I'm just the great Wally, just sit down and look for me.
Make sure she stand up behind you so she can hold on for your hand in the midnight.
Number 7 says January is named after Janus, the god with two faces, one looking forward and one looking backward. He is the god of starts or beginnings, transitions, gates, doors, passages, and endings. Number 8, quick.
To ensure a year of good luck, firecrackers and noisemakers became a tradition in order to scare away evil spirits and ensure a brand new start.
Number 9 says, did you know that I think it's pronounced All Lang Syne?
Acho? All Lang Syne.
All Lang Syne was written in the 1700s. It was written by Robert Burns in Scotland. It's a song of remembrance and reflection. Number 10?
And number 10, the use of champagne for celebrations is actually roots in Christian ritual of consuming wine during the Holy Eucharist.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, we told you what's happening around the world, and you will know what's happening here in Jamaica because you're Jamaican. We're going to go for a break. News in 5 when we come back. Stay with us, please, on this pre-New Year's Eve, pre-day, pre-whistle call. What's up?